Welcome to a life of abundance. Today we are stepping into a mindset of prosperity, financial success, and limitless opportunities. You are not here by accident. You are here because you are meant for greatness. The power to attract wealth is within you. You are stepping into a reality where abundance flows effortlessly, where success follows you in everything you do, and where financial prosperity is your new normal. Take a deep breath. Feel the energy of prosperity surrounding you. Everything you desire, financial success, wealth, freedom, is already aligning with your life. Speak these affirmations with
Mic check, mic check. check, mic check. All right. Episode 74, Airbnb Pro Tips. All right. Mic check. Who we got online? All right. Hang on. Chris. All right. I see you, Chris. Check your mic. Lachey, check your mic.
Yeah, I'm here.
Awesome. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to get started. Got a lot of information to get into today. Our monologue out of the way, and we're going to get started.
Welcome to a life of abundance.
Yeah. All right. Let us begin. So they told us that wealth was locked behind boardroom doors that we would never enter. That freedom was preserved for the privileged, the connected, and the already rich. But let me tell you something. That was a lie. See, we are the generation that's rewriting the rule book. See, we don't need $1 million fund. We don't need a landlord's permission. But what we do need is a blueprint, y'all. That's exactly what I'm about to lay down. This is Airbnb Pro Tips, and I am your host, Earl McCray. Every week, we're breaking down real game from real entrepreneurs on how to launch, automate, and scale that Airbnb business. We're giving you the strategies, the money moves, and the mindset shifts that will separate those from the dreams from those who are executing on those dreams. Here, we celebrate the wins, both big and small. Here, we talk to real entrepreneurs, the one that took action and changed their lives. Here, we're giving you the blueprint so that you can stop watching and start building. So, if you're ready to tap into your God-given ability to turn knowledge into passive income, to create a system that works for you instead of you working for it. Hey, welcome home. This is where transformation begins. This is where faith meets execution. This is where you level up your Airbnb game. This is Airbnb Pro Tips. All right, I'm ready to get started. So, as is our tradition, we always like to start with the wins, what the wins are looking like. So, that being said, all right, let me speak directly to the good people. All right, so we do this every week. Oh my goodness, my camera's not on. There it is. So we do this every week. What we allow our folks in social media to do is to kind of get a peek on our world in short-term rentals with the understanding that anybody can do this. You just have to have the blueprint, and you just got to have a community of people that can rally behind you because it's simple, but it is not easy. Don't ever let anybody think otherwise. So Chris, man, in this segment, man, we always share out, man, what our wins are for the week. What's on your spirit? What's your wins for the week?
Meeting you, I believe.
All right. I humbly receive that. Thank you, brother. Thank you, man. Yeah, man. We talk faith, fitness, finance, as well as family. So if I may, I think my wins for the week is my son. I had a son, as you guys may have known, got back from Hawaii I brought my boys with me because I wanted to expose them to a higher level. Because a prophet is never, what's that parable about Christ? A prophet is never respected in his own village. So I can only say so much to my boys. So I had to bring my boys with me to a bigger scene. And it did its job. So my win for the week, honestly, my youngest sent me a text to dad, got my LLC complete, got my EIN number. I've enrolled in the mastermind that focuses on cryptocurrency and date. And I just brought, man, I just brought a lightness to my spirit, y'all, because we had talked about that for a long time, him, but he just needed to see it from somebody other than me. So that's the win. That's the win. Who else? Who else wants to share the win for the week? Hey, what's up, Cornell? Mic check. Mark, mic check. How you guys doing today?
Mic check, mic check.
Awesome, man. Cornell, can you share what your wins are for the week? For the last 7 days. Let's give some context. Last 7 days.
Oh, yeah, so I got some wins for this week. I actually I got one major win that's a business win that we went over probably a few weeks ago, but I actually a win I had was I posted actual whole house kind of thing listing that we've been talking about for the past few weeks. I got that completed. So that's a win on the business side. And I know I basically almost finished a book we were reading. We talk about reading books here and being knowledgeable with books. The Gap in the Game. Almost finished reading that, so that's great. That's a big,
That's a
big deal.
great, listen, that's a great read or reread.
It's a great read. Great read for
Gap
everybody
in the
on the
Game.
panel too. It's a great read. So that's been good. And then I also been utilizing.
Cornell, if you could put that book in the chat for
Oh yeah, sure.
others that may not be familiar with that author, Dr. Benjamin Hardy, I highly recommend you guys. Keep going,
Yeah.
brother. I didn't mean to interrupt.
Yeah, then I actually another one I had was I definitely been utilizing what we call the automatic pricing software that we use for our places. I've been utilizing that more than once, been using that fully together. So that's been 3 wins right there that I had for the past week. And everything's been good. Health's been good. And staying prayed up and I'm keeping the knowledge going mentally in my mind has been all my wins for this week. So it's been definitely an A+ for all the week.
Love it, man. Appreciate you, man. Appreciate you. What about you, Vishay? What's your win for the week?
I'm just thankful. That's all. I'm just thankful.
Good. God is good. Thank you for being thankful. All right, because attitude of gratitude, the Lord opens up so much. Hey, about you, my brother Mark. We're in our win segment. What's your wins looking like?
Okay. I like that. Let's start on the win column. Let's start on that win column.
Yes, sir.
I actually have been having some pretty good momentum. So on the short-term rental side, was able to find actually just got off a call. Somebody wants me to manage in short-term rental out in Arizona. So we'll talk about that, sir. And
Love it,
then
brother.
yes, and then have another one in Riverside with a gentleman that has a townhome that wants to sell it, but talk to him about doing short-term rental. So he's open to doing it. So I ran it for him last month, and he was able to because he was making nothing on the property was sitting there, and we were able to do $5,000 out of the house. So he's like, "Oh, $5,000," and I'm like, "Dude, that's just the start. Like we're a new listing." So
Yeah.
that got him excited about the possibilities. Definitely going to keep in contact with him, and he might even be open to doing some type of lease option down the road. I'll talk to you about that one also. And then just, the properties I was talking about before with you, we were able to close on those finally. So that was some more activity. So yeah, man, we're building some momentum here, and definitely a lot of, through a lot of sweat and tears. Nothing comes easy, but those were definitely some wins.
Awesome. I'm glad to hear it. So listen, so we're gonna pivot, man. We're gonna talk about the news cycle. You know, I have some STR specific things that I got out of the crock pot, namely, you know, this question I put in the text thread. Do you think Airbnb and hotels are really competitors? Is furniture enough to make your Airbnb success? Have you heard Airbnb's 3-part success formula? Host haven't. And finally, what if Airbnb expands into car sharing and roommate matching? That's what they're talking about, because they want to be the Amazon of social interaction. But before all of that, this is a business podcast, so we got to talk a little business. The question of the honor is, the news cycle has been dominated by one of the biggest business moguls in music to fall from grace. At one point, I believe he was a billionaire. I'm not sure if he still has that status. But I think the question I want to pose to everybody is, the blessing is, he's not getting, you know, we are talking about P. Diddy for y'all out on social media. I never felt like he was going to be charged with racketeering and basically charges that you would give a mobster. Never felt that was going to stick, but he was charged, and he will do some time, but he will come home. My question for the panel here is, do you think he will be able to rebuild? Chris, what's your thoughts?
I mean, sure, why not? I mean,
Hey,
he did it before.
All right. All right. Cornell.
Yeah, I agree. I say the same thing. I totally agree. And disagree with that at all.
Mm-hmm. Mark or Veche, what are you guys thinking?
Ditto.
Ditto.
Yeah, it's been interesting, man, because I've been meeting some people that I guess had some run-ins with the law that are in the business world. And what they're doing is they're just kind of pulling the strings from the back and hiding behind LLCs and corporations. So I definitely see him doing that, coming out with something. You know, we don't know. He can come out with a vodka. We don't know who vodka we're drinking.
Yeah.
So I don't think that money talks, and he still has a lot of it. So I think he'll reposition himself maybe behind the scenes, but he'll still
Yeah.
be making money.
Ditto. I mean, I'm gonna co-sign on everything that was said. I'm gonna embellish a little bit. I think there's something we can't lose sight of. It's the mindset of a champion. I'm not gonna excuse any bad behavior. That's not what I'm doing. This is a business podcast. But you know, it has been written and it's been said that you can give a individual $1 million cold cash today, and if he didn't build, if he didn't create that wealth, 6 months to a year, they'll be broke again. But in converse, you can strip the money, the trappings, from a millionaire, and given time and opportunity, they will rebuild everything twofold. And Mark's giving me the thumbs up, because that's the truth of the matter. And I believe not only will he come back, I think he's going to come back stronger. And it could play out one of two ways. It could play out where, and I'm sure you guys have seen this, man, the African continent is dying for African American entrepreneurs to come to the continent and bet on Africa. It could look like that. I'm not sure. Or, as you guys know, we in America, we have a very short memory. And depending on, you know, and I'm not saying this would happen, but depending on his ability to humble himself, because the word is that he was thrown to the wolves. There's multi. I mean, the charge he got was a charge of soliciting and transporting individuals engaged in prostitution. I can go down the list on one hand, the number of people who we know were also involved in that, and they got a slap on the wrist. And I'm talking about people of color. Eddie Murphy, as example. Myron, former mayor of DC, Myron Berry, example. Who am I missing, y'all? Because I'm just talking all exponentially. Who else was caught? The governor of New York, Cuomo. Nobody's done time. Nobody's done time, y'all. He was thrown to the wolves because of his ego, because of his arrogance. And because of that ego and arrogance, that's why I believe he's going to rebuild it. Any pushback? Anybody disagree?
Now, I agree. I just wonder behind the scenes, who in power did he piss off? Because that's just how it is. You know, somebody that probably sits in Congress or somebody, you mess with the wrong person, they'll build that case against you.
Facts. I agree.
I agree with him when he says it. It's not the first time because so many other people who have done this in a high profile and not done anything. But I think that he has brought the wrong people and they have so much dirt on him that they're trying to prove. But the thing is that it wasn't. It's more of an embarrassment than anything because I think they already knew that there was nothing there for racketeering. They're just adding things on, and that's when the law enforcement they'll add things on, and sometimes those things won't even stick. So yeah, he did what he did, but hopefully he's learned from it, can improve from it, and go from there.
And, you know, Vishay, you said something too that has been stirring my spirit. I also feel like they were trying to make an example out of him for other black moguls to stay in line. I really believe that. I wish I didn't feel that there was a racial component to it, but I do. And don't get me wrong, I am not excusing any bad behavior because the man, I mean, he has some psychological things happening, but the way they went about this was they were trying to make him an example,
Mhm.
and I don't know, it just doesn't sit well for me
I
because
agree with you.
when you're coming from a space of my grandfather called it, my grandfather was a sharecropper.
Mhm.
And he called it, he explained it to my dad this way. It was the black tax, meaning
Mhm.
that in order for you to be on the same level, you were always going to have to pay more to get to the same spot. And I saw it work, manifest itself with my dad in corporate
Mhm.
America. So again, we're gonna move from this topic, but any other feelings on this before we move on?
Did you know?
Okay. All right. So let's get to our first item that's STR related in the news cycle. Airbnb and hotels are not competitors. I want you guys to take a look at this news clip, and I want our panel to weigh in.
When I see folks talk about Airbnbs and compare them directly to hotels, it's funny because we aren't even necessarily competing. We are in the same industry, transient housing, hospitality, the things of that nature, but we serve two almost completely different functions. And I say this as an Airbnb and VRBO and short-term rental host of someone who rents cabins. We rent houses. We're not renting rooms in an apartment. We're not renting an apartment, although I have stayed in apartments that are significantly better and in a lot of cases cheaper than the hotels that I was looking at staying anyhow. But in a hotel room, you are getting sleeping accommodations and a shower, and that is pretty much it. They still come with all the same fees as a Airbnb. There's still some sort of administrative fee. There's still some sort of taxes. There's still some sort of cleaning fee. They do wrap it up into the rates, which is what actually Airbnb and VRBO do at this point, which is something they should have been doing all along. But there is much less space to clean. There is much less to to do. And most of these places do not have kitchens. They don't have hot tubs. They don't have fireplaces like the Airbnbs do. And that is the difference. The hotel room is a place where you can sleep and you can go out and do your things. Where on the other hand, an Airbnb or Vrbo or short-term rental like we run, which are houses, they are cabins, these are experiences that you are coming to because you want a cabin in the woods, but you don't want to pay this $600,000 to buy it, and then you don't want to do all the maintenance to have it. So you can have a different experience all the time with these different rental cabins, beach houses, and things of that nature. And you are renting a house because you want a kitchen. You want a living room, places to spread out. You want private bedrooms, private showers. You might want a pool table like we have in a lot of ours, an air hockey table. You want hot tubs. You want private pools, perhaps. The things that you are not going to get from a hotel. And the other thing was people say that the hotels are a lot more convenient. And, you know, in a lot of cases, if I come into a hotel, I have to stop in at the front desk. I have to give them all of my information, you know, while I'm there after I've been on the road for 10 hours. They got to do all the stuff, come up with key cards. Then I, you know, take an elevator up to my room, hope the key card works. Then I can settle in. A lot of places are doing just check out where you can leave. But if you do want a receipt, if you're a business traveler or something like that, then you have to go down to the front desk again on the way out, wait for someone to do things. Whereas with our Airbnbs, if you don't want anything from me, I don't require anything of you. All of our messaging is either automated or personalized so that it corresponds with your reservation exactly. And if you don't have any questions, you drive directly up to the house. You type in the PIN pad that was provided to you, which is usually the last 4 of your phone number. You are in, and there are no elevators or nothing. When you check out, there are some checkout instructions.
Okay. All right, my panel of STR experts. Chime in. What are your thoughts?
Uh, I get what he's saying, but what's putting us always going to put us at odds is kind of like when Uber in the taxi industry. Yeah, there's differences, you know, but the problem is we put heads in beds, and if we didn't exist, they would have to stay at a hotel. So, are we taking business from the hotels? Yes, because if there was none of us, they would have to stay in hotels, and that's what they used to do before Airbnb existed. Um, and I think the issue is that the hotels are always going to lobby that they're taking our business because those heads are somewhere else. I get that there's more amenities at the Airbnb, and you know you can't compare them as far as what I'm getting. Like if I want a pool table and a pool to swim in and stuff like that, I can't get that. Well, I guess I get the pool at the hotel, but it's just a different experience. But to try to bifurcate the two and say that they're like different, it's still heads and beds. So I think we're always going to be at war with them until they understand that they still have their market share of people that will never stay in Airbnb, and there's people that now don't do hotels.
All right, I appreciate that, Mark. Anybody else want to weigh in? I will say, I thought the article was interesting because if you are truly creating an experience in your space, he's correct. There is no real competition or comparison. But to Mark's point, if all you're doing is putting a head in the bed, then boom, there you go. And part of what I saw when that article when I saw that article is there's a level of advocacy that I want to challenge each one of you guys to have in your local market. Chris and I were back and forth today looking at spaces in Colorado where there's just tons of regulation. Well, the way you undo regulation in any area is having individuals like myself, like you, active in the local real estate meetups. Every town, every city, every village has them. Connect with other real estate investors. Not only is it a great way to kind of stress the difference Because if they're not hearing the difference from us, all they have to go with is what's going on in the news cycle. They may not even get the idea until you have a conversation with them. Hey, no, there's a real distinction between someone's experience in a hotel versus when they come to one of my spaces. You know, yeah, they got the heads and beds, but we provide so much more. And then as you have those conversations, it's going to lead to advocacy, and honestly, it's going to lead to relationship buildings. Because without me knowing very much about the short-term rental business, because I had relationships already at these real estate meetups, man, I went to 12 places like overnight. I really did. All I did was network with the existing real estate investors that was in that group. And I gave them the option. Now, at that time, I didn't know about co-listing, and all I was doing was rental arbitrage, and I pivoted. But you know, it's just a thought that, you know, most people don't know that's the difference unless we message, we create the right message. Mark, would you push back on what I'm saying or what?
No, not at all. I guess when I thought he was talking about or talking to, I thought he was talking about like hotels. Why are you mad at us? We're nothing like you. And I'm just saying, I'm just making the point that I just don't think that they'll ever see it from our way or our side, just because even if we're given an experience, if we didn't exist, they would be staying with them and going out to get the experience. So, but I totally agree with what you're saying, that that's what sets us apart, especially if we take the time out to curate a like
When I
truly memorable experience. Yeah, it's totally different. Totally different.
All right, excellent, excellent. All right, let's move on to the next news cycle item. And this speaks directly to the point that um, I believe I believe that when you're new-ish, um, you may not have like it's really, you know, like rainbows and unicorns, but being successful in this space requires some hustle. Now I don't grind. You guys know that I don't grind. I build, but I do hustle. There's a distinction. But take a listen.
Yeah. Probably one of the biggest ones is that you can just take any property, furnish it, and be successful as a short-term rental. You know, the reality of it is that the market has gotten a lot more competitive, and the people that are really surviving and thriving in this market are the people that take this seriously like a business. And so they've invested time in making really cool properties. They've invested effort into creating systems so that their guests can have great customer experiences. They have the right automation, the right tools, property management systems, pricing systems, all the right components that you need to really make this a business rather than just kind of a hobby. And I think that's probably the biggest misconception that people have.
All right, so let's speak to the point, you know, what separates what we're doing from like the traditional side hustle. Who wants to speak to that? I mean, we could have landscaping companies, couldn't we? We could go around cutting people's grass, couldn't we? We could have a dog grooming business, right? Those are businesses, right? Why is this different?
Well, I'm gonna go here. I don't think it's different because I think, say you ran a landscaping, I've seen some where, you know, it's Tom from down the street cutting your grass, and I've seen some. They have a payroll, they have accountant, they have this, they have that, they have all the tools that they need.
They're
They can
scaled
take
up,
on
right?
bigger job. Yeah. So I
Mhm.
think like looking at all this stuff as quote unquote a true or real business is like he was saying, it's gonna set you apart because the hobbyists will get weeded out because it's
Mhm.
hard. It's hard.
Yep,
It's not easy, and sooner or later they crack. And unfortunately, they when they do crack, they give us a bad name.
absolutely, absolutely. You know, the truth, in my view, is that if you are willing to learn your craft, um, and I don't care what that craft is, whether it's bread making or whether it's being an STR host. It doesn't happen overnight, and you can't do it solo. You got to be involved in communities. You have to, invest in education. You can't be a jack of all and master of nothing. And for those people that kind of get in, oh, I got an extra room in the house. The kids are grown. I still I'm still active teacher, and I had a number of coworkers, connect with me. Yeah, we rent out a room in the house, and the way they think about their business is night and day from me, just like night and day, not even close. When I talk about scale and I talk about investing in systems and softwares, oh no, that's not what they're trying to do. They're still cleaning their own places. You know, they're trying to, they're trying to addition through, they're trying to increase through an addition model, and I'm trying to increase through a multiplication model. Because as you guys have heard me say privately and publicly, if you build this right, if you do certain things, even if this is not your main business, maybe this is just one of several streams of income, but you do really have the ability of managing it from your cell phone, from any beach in the world, if you build it right. And building it right means building it slowly and being very intentional, brick by brick by brick. Um, that's all I was going to share on that. Chris or Vishay, any thoughts before I move on?
No, you good.
Okay, good stuff. Good stuff. All right, let's take a look at this next news article and get your thoughts, get your feedback, get your opinion. All right.
The marketplace success, Airbnb's core formula. Chesky talked about what makes a two-sided marketplace like Airbnb actually work. Payments. Airbnb's payment system is world-class. It can handle dozens of currencies, split payments between hosts, co-hosts, cleaners, you name it. For managers, that means less admin and fewer headaches. On this, Vrbo and Booking.com are still behind. Trust and safety. But Airbnb is all about building trust. They have more than 200 million verified user profiles, two-way reviews, ID checks, secure messaging, and a resolution center. This makes it safer for both guests and hosts. And 3, supply and curation. Airbnb doesn't just wait for new hosts, right? They actively recruit or sometimes create hosts, educate them, also eliminate some of them, right? Hundreds of thousands of hosts have been kicked out of the platform because their listings had reviews that were just too low. Now they want to apply this playbook to new services like chefs or fitness coaches. So what's my strategic outlook here? Airbnb's strengths here are real. Payments and trust are hard to copy. But remember, Booking.com and Vrbo are still stronger in some markets. And if Airbnb gets distracted chasing new service, Booking and Vrbo could come back strongly. We've seen this in Europe. It's not everything is written, right? Booking.com has been gaining share in Europe, for example, versus Airbnb. So let's see where it goes.
Okay. So what were the 3 points again? You guys catch those? What was point number 1?
Well, I don't know if it was one, but it fixated on their the payment system that they're world class.
Correct.
Ain't that the
Correct.
truth? Because
Yeah.
Vrbo, oh, they did me dirty.
Yeah. So even though you guys are going to hear me on multiple occasions talk about, not being totally dependent on one platform, Airbnb is the king when it comes to their payment and not messing up payroll. Number 2, did you guys catch the second thing that has differentiated them? Payment processing, because I'm gonna tell you guys a quick story. Did you guys catch it? It was trust. Trust. Airbnb goes out of their way to verify all of the guests. They verify all of the hosts. There is, I'm not sure if you guys know historically, back in the day, Airbnb had terrible media because you had actual monsters that were hosts, and they were taking advantage of young, primarily women, who were traveling alone, through videos inside the. So Airbnb is come a long way. The bottom line is, I had a situation. This is a story I'm going to tell you, where I had my gentleman book the property for his company, and he was not staying there. And so I'm always uneasy when someone books for another party. And I, in my messaging, I just simply said, hey, I know you have a party of 5 there. You're not there. I am going to ask you to upload their IDs. So, my outside camera can identify who's coming and who's going. And the guest actually gave me a bit of a hard time about it. It was like, why are you being so creepy? I'm like, oh, I'm not being creepy. I'm all about risk mitigation. And it actually escalated to customer service. And I think initially customer service typically sides with the guest. But once they understood that, like, my whole thing is, I got cameras. I just want to make sure I know, who are the individuals who should be coming and going in the property, no more, no less. Their department sided with me. So they are really, really good and doubling down on the security aspect. So I thought that was interesting. Anybody catch the third thing that they said? The third thing?
Was about the host recruitment.
The recruit. Thank you. The recruitment. Guys, I want to say this as lovingly as I can, but Airbnb don't care about Cornell, Mark, Chris, Vishay, or Earl, because they can replace this in a heartbeat. And I have learned like early, and they've changed. Early back in the day, it like meant something that you were a super host. Not no more, y'all. They're like, okay, you're a super host or not. You're gonna stay on customer service and work through this just like everybody else. Why? Because for every one Earl, they got like 30 other people who are new, who are excited, and who not gonna push back if Airbnb changes the policy every 30, every 60, every 90 days. And when you're new and you don't know anything, you just kind of go with the flow. Like, I don't. I push back. I'm like, wait a minute, hold on. From small things to large things. I had one person who I was trying to mitigate a party situation, and I wouldn't give the codes out to them because they wouldn't answer some of the security questions I asked. I just wanted you to confirm that you've read the house rules, and they wouldn't do that. They wouldn't acknowledge the house rules, so I didn't give them the codes. If I try to do that right now, because Airbnb's changed the game so much, who knows? We're replaceable. How does that make you guys feel?
I mean, it's like most jobs, most places, I guess.
I'm glad you said it that way, Chris. That's very, very mature, because here's the deal. Airbnb is just a client, in my opinion. They're one of 5 main clients. Verbal is a client. Expedia.com is a, you guys tracking what I'm saying? Like, yeah, I just
Yeah.
got an email today. Oh, you're Superhost again. I don't care about that. If Airbnb suspends my account right now, I know enough through the other platforms to reconfigure and pivot. So I say all that to say, although Airbnb is a great place to start, you don't want to get stuck there. You guys tracking?
The marketplace.
Gotcha.
All right. All right. Here's the last thing. This whole thing about the evolution of Airbnb and why guests are going to be increasingly less and less significant in terms of their bottom line. So take a listen.
How Airbnb is borrowing from Amazon's playbook. Chesky only compares Airbnb strategy to Amazon's. It's a playbook that's known. Also, if you're talking to investors, to other people in tech, they will understand what you mean by I'm copying Amazon's playbook, right? It's something people want to hear if they think that you need to grow again faster. So just like Amazon started by selling books and now sells just about everything, is expanding beyond homes into new areas like service experiences and maybe even one day, who knows, car sharing or roommate finding in the future. This expansion is bold. Instead of testing new ideas in a few places, is rolling out these new services in more than 100 cities at once. As Brian Chesky said, we're adding 1 or 2 new verticals a year, and we'll keep doing that for a decade.
So as they keep expanding into services, and by the way, if you have not done so, please make sure you take a look on your Airbnb app. You'll notice that there's 3 buttons now. One is experiences, one is services, and one is hosting, housing. So part of the ecosystem is just like Amazon is everything and anything to people now, above and beyond books. So will Airbnb. I think it's a brilliant business play. I'm not sure if you guys see my shirt, but my shirt is supposed to say 100 streams of income. That's exactly the play Airbnb is making. They're trying to get as many streams of income as possible. I'm not mad at them, but I do want to mitigate any potential downside for me and my business and not be 100% dependent on the Airbnb platform. Anything else that anyone picked up from that message that we just listened to? What did you hear, Vishay? If you're talking, you might be on mute. Or Chris.
Hey, I'm on the phone. I'll be right with you.
Oh, no worries. Okay. All right. Hey, Cornell, see you're tapping back in. All right. So anyone want the last word before we move into our next segment? Are we good?
Yeah, I was just gonna say, I totally agree with your streams of income because just even how the mind works. Like, say you have grocery delivery, like people they only want to pay X amount for the Airbnb, but if you have, but then they have a different mindset for I'll pay this much for groceries, and I'll pay this much to have it delivered, and I'll pay this much for a car on Turo. So they've already basically compartmentalize that in their head. So if you are that service that does all those things, but keep them separate, where they're, oh, okay, I can get that from you, I can get that from you, then there you goes your streams of income. Yeah.
Guys, that's an amazing business. What Mark just shared with you guys, I hope you guys pick that up. Because if you have a successful Airbnb STR business, Why not have a Toro business right next to it? Why not? Why not have a person that they can that will deliver them their groceries? I'm literally telling you that you can curate all of that as a host, as an entrepreneur. You can coordinate all those pieces, put a QR code right up in your spot, and drive business to your other services. I'm telling you, and you can do JV agreements, guys. I love JV agreements. JV with somebody that has a Toro business. JV with somebody that has a massage business. Why not? We don't have to have all of it. We can just get a percent, a little piece. I think that's smart business. I think it's smart business. Cornell, you want to chime in before we change the subject?
No, I totally agree with you. I really think that's smart business. If they want to do a one-stop, one shop, when it comes to B&B, why not do everything one stop? Get a car, get a home, do all these things one stop. Why not? You know, they seem like they're trying to do that, go that direction anyway.
Awesome. Hey guys, so here's another Cornell put a awesome book in the chat, and I hope you guys have a chance to read. I'm going to suggest another book, talk about the entrepreneur mindset. And this guy is Brian Murray, very prolific. He owns a real small podcast, y'all, real small, so small that you may not have ever heard of it. It's called Bigger Pockets, and he's everything real estate. But I'm currently reading a book called Multifamily Millionaire. Screenshot it. I would recommend you guys here inside the group take a look at it, as well as people on social media. I'm gonna play this real quick clip, and the last couple minutes as we kind of wrap this up, I'm gonna put some true false questions up there to see if you guys can vibe with his frame of reference, his tone, and how he thinks about business. Here we go.
As an entrepreneur and a millionaire, if you were only allowed to teach your kid 3 lessons about money,
I would teach that money is infinite, not finite, that you don't need to have a scarcity mindset around it because that's going to limit your potential and your opportunities, that money should be used to help others. No matter how much you make, a percentage should go to charitable endeavors, and that it's not all for us. We should have different buckets, one of them being give, one of them being save, one of them being invest, one of them being spend. Third is the power of leverage and potentially using other people's money or other people's talents through partnership, and then also utilizing banks or institutions or seller finance or whatever creative strategy you need to use to own an asset with as small of a down payment as you can.
Love it. All right. So in our last couple minutes together here live on the podcast, we're going to do some true false questions. All right. So based on the voice and tone of Brian Murray, true false. Let's start with you, Vishay. The average STR earns 2 to 3 times more than a traditional renter. What's your thoughts?
True.
Dun, 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 dun. That's not hype. It's the highest and best use in action. You're squeezing more juice from the same lemon. So when I'm talking to an investor, and Mark, maybe you can speak to this because this is your wheelhouse. Most investors have 2 buckets that they're living in. You're living in the equity bucket and the cash flow bucket. Typically, if somebody's thinking cash flow, Mark, what type of neighborhoods are they investing in? A, B, C, or D class neighborhoods?
Yeah, if they're getting cash flow, they need people coming in and out. So at least a B.
Okay, all right. So I'm gonna push back.
Go ahead.
I think B and A class neighborhoods are more of an equity play. Why? Because you're gonna bring, if you get a house in a gated community, you're assuming that the value of that house is going to climb. It's going to climb. It's going to climb. If I get a house in the hood, war zone, the value of that property may not climb as quickly over, and you guys know for obvious reasons, right? But I can absolutely cash flow that joker. I can absolutely cash flow. So typically, it's easier to cash flow in a D and C class neighborhood than it would be for a B and A class neighborhood. Why? Because it costs more to get in the game. Okay, everybody tracking? I haven't lost anybody? All right. So our value proposition, guys, is that we can take individuals that have B class or A class assets. They're always already getting the equity play, but by using short-term and mid-term rentals, we can now help them cash flow faster than they would normally be able to. Everybody with me? All right. Thumbs up if you agree. All right.
Yes.
All right, let's keep it moving. Let's keep it moving. Cornell, question goes to you. True or false? Location matters.
You know what? I would say, actually, when it comes to location matter, I would say false.
All right, let's see what the drum says. But not the way you think. So here's the thought, guys. Tourist towns are great, but nurses, contractors, and traveling professionals want peace and Wi-Fi.
Yep.
So you don't have to have a space in Hawaii. You don't have to have a space in an NFL city and still win. Cornell has been winning for a while just by having his places near hospitals. So the location is important, but not in a way that many people think. All right. Next question. This goes to you, Chris. True or false? Listing with professional photos earn up to 40% more.
Yes. Probably more than that.
Man, I gave you a lot, man. I wanted to make sure you could hit it.
Oh yeah, that's easy.
Yeah. So typically when we are working with landlords, not all, but many of them, they're a jack of all. They do the plumbing, they're doing the handyman, and they're doing the photos too. Our phones are great, but it's not the marketing strategy that we want to rely on. You do not want the photos to be the bottleneck. There's a ton of services. I've used two. I still use Airbnb's service where they'll send out a not only, guys, you guys may know this, not only will they send out a professional photographer, but they'll bill you on the back end minus the profits from your next month's billing. I've done that a ton of times. Yep. Okay. True or false? Cleanliness is the #1 guest complaint, and it's an opportunity. What do you think about that, Mark?
I'm going to agree with that. I think that, at least in my experience, if anything is unclean, then they start noting out all of a sudden the Wi-Fi slow, the location sucks.
Yeah.
So, so I'm agree with that.
Listen, if I count on my hand all of the problems that can occur, the Wi-Fi, critters are in the house, having issues with the code or any number of things, all of that is nothing compared to, do I have a spotless space? Do I have a dirty toilet? They are bad for business. Your cleaning crew, you got to treat them like your most valuable asset, especially if you scaled up and you're relying on other people. Don't get me wrong. Sometimes I got to push back with my cleaning crew a little bit, because they don't want to give me all the photos I asked for, and I need the photos because I'm not physically able to walk the property the way I used to when everything was just in my backyard. And the other thing, you got to make sure you get the right cleaning. You got to create the right expectations with your cleaners, because we can have checkouts every day of the week, depending on the cycle of our bookings. And if you got multiple places, but you don't want to be paying your cleaner every day, y'all. So you got to kind of condition your cleaner. Hey, listen, this is the expectation. Payroll goes out once a week, Friday morning or Saturday morning if I miss Friday morning. And especially if you have newer people, or we have some younger people too, man. They work, they want to get paid right there and then. We can't do that, can we, Cornell? we can't run a business like that.
No.
So you really got to make sure you have proper. Your cleaners are your MVP, but you got to have proper expectations so they don't take advantage of you, and they will. And if you do, here's the final question, because we're at the top of the hour. 60 to 70% occupancy for short-term rentals is the sweet spot. I'm gonna throw another live ball to you, Chris. What do you think?
I'm gonna say false. I mean, it depends on the season, I think.
Oh, okay.
Because you can make a killing during the peak season and just, kind of slide by during the rest of the seasons,
All right.
in my
All right.
opinion.
I like it. I like where you're thinking. Cornell, weigh in.
Yeah. You know what? I agree. So saying if you're always book, you're too cheap. So let me see. I definitely agree with what he's saying. The season definitely has something to do with it.
Yeah.
For sure.
So for our people who are newish, make no mistake, you can't do this manually and not leave money on the table.
Nope.
You can't do it manually. You got to outsource this to Price Labs or another
AI.
software. You got to use some AI.
Yep.
If you're not, if you're trying to be cheap about it, and I mean, it's not even super expensive. I think I'm paying $20 per listing, so $20 per property, and AI is making sure I'm not too expensive, and they're making sure I'm not too cheap, because I've been there where I've had 100% occupancy and I've been leaving so much money on the table. Crazy. But that's a wrap for us today, guys. We shared a couple things. Let's go real quick around the table. But Shay, what was the one thing you took away from our session today? If you can't come off of mute, please come off of mute. We're gonna jump to Chris.
Well, I like the concept. What I've been thinking about before, anyway, is just like having a constant stream of income from different avenues, not just one. Because like I have some children books on Amazon, so I'm all over the place. So
Amen.
I'm
That's all you
I'm
should be.
focused on making money. I don't care where it comes from.
Absolutely. Now, so one thing I did read this, and I do believe there's something to it. And Mark, you can push back if you disagree. I do believe that you make your first run at financial independence being singularly focused. And your freedom number, that's what we call it. Your freedom number is when you have enough passive income that erases all of your monthly debt. So if my monthly debt is $11,000 a month and my passive income is $10,000 a month, I'm not there yet. I got to get another 1,000. But as soon as my passive income outshines then that's my freedom number. Now, once you hit that freedom number, that's when most people start putting other streams of income in place that it's actually adjacent to the streams of income that got them to their freedom number. So I think the challenge as you're ramping up and you're building is you don't want to get shiny syndrome, shiny object syndrome. You guys tracking? Shiny
Yes.
object
Mm-hmm.
syndrome. You guys know what I'm
I got
talking
you.
about?
Yeah, for
Yes,
sure.
I got you.
I call it the squirrel.
Squirrel. Listen, I know. Look, I know because I have ADHD. My wife always says, "Babe, you drive me nuts. When you gonna take some medicine?" And I said, "Babe, I gotta be honest with you. I love my ADHD. I think it's my superpower. Uh, you don't see it, but man, listen. When my ADHD, I can hyper focus. I mean, like literally, I can get up 4 hours of sleep and be at it. But there's the downside. Don't think it's all rainbows and unicorns. But I say all that to say, when I know when I start looking at other things, that I'm not hyper focused on what I'm doing. In the moment that I start seeing this, that, and the third, I got to revisit. I'm like, okay, cool. I know what that means. I just got to focus. But the idea is these additional streams of income should really flow naturally by way of relationships as you're working within your, whatever your focus is. And I'm a big believer in frequency in the universe, and I believe things will flow to you. The floth, the moth or the flame. The moth or the flame. Which should you be? Should you be the moth, put all this energy trying to get to the light, or just be the light, be the flame? You don't have to put out so much energy. That's the law of attraction. That's something else we'll get into in a moment. Cornell, what was your takeaway? Mark, what was your takeaway?
My takeaway was basically what we were talking about earlier on the call about diversity with sort of like we were talking about diversity with about B&B diversifying out to do more. And the reason why I said that too is because I see that you have a shirt on that said 100 streams of income. They're look at these guys. They're diversing out to doing home services, experiences, and stuff like that. So us as people, we can diversify too. We can diversify in doing this with STRs, this with e-commerce, this with that. So all these streams of income is good just for us being an entrepreneur and that's getting us sharpening our sword in the different ways, the different streams of income. So that was one of my takeaways that made me think about that when I see your shirt, was what they're doing. I'm like, we can do the same thing in our business and with ourselves and to get us to the next level. So that's one of the major things I took away from today's call that kind of stuck out to me as well.
Amen. All right, Mark, you got the last word, brother. What's your takeaway?
Okay. So I think from what Cornell was saying and everyone, I just look at it too from a complacency. That Airbnb is not complacent. They're always looking for another way to package even their oldest items and then package new items to sell. And we have to be the same way as far as adapting to the culture, and then whatever technologies come out, make sure that we're mastering that. Because AI has just changed the game, even with the messaging, even with the research that we can do now. It's just crazy. So to not be complacent, even during good times, to make sure that we're always striving to get the next thing. That's one of the missions.
Awesome. All right, guys, I appreciate you guys tapping in for the last 45 minutes to an hour. As always, we want folks to be blessed, but more importantly, be a blessing to others. Enjoy a safe 4th of July, everybody. I hope you're connecting with some friends, some family, having some clean adult type beverages, but be keeping yourself in a safe place. All right. All right, same time, same channel on next week. Blessings, everybody.
All right. Thank
All
you
right.
guys. Thank
Take
you all.
care. Thank you.